Hello friends and welcome to Kirti Rani Institution. In today's video, we are going to learn about the topic Organization of Financial Functions. But before we start today's video, I would like to remind you guys that if you want to watch the exact same topic, learn the exact same topic in Hindi, please don't forget to check out my channel playlist. You will get the exact same topic explained in Hindi by me. So let us get started with today's topic. Today's topic is Organization of Financial Function. Now what exactly is Organization of Financial Function? We will look into it. So the financial function refers to how the finance departments are distributed overall to the company, right? So how the organization divides financial department. Does it keep only one person for the finance to handle the whole finance, or does it departmentalize each the finance department in each of the levels across various locations, etc., right? So let us view into the detail what exactly is the organization of financial it refers to how finance department is structured within a company's overall hierarchy. So is it separated on each of the levels of the company? Is it separated based on the locations, or is it separated based on the let's say stores, right? Or is it all combined into one? It is centralized or decentralized, right? So that is the structure that we are going to focus on in today. Because and why is it structured differently? Because every single department in any organization, whether it be sales, marketing, product, promotion, etc., every single department needs money, right? Money is the lifeblood of any company, and finance department, it holds and decides where and how much of the money should be distributed to which department. Do they actually require it? Will it be a profit or will it be a loss, right? So that's the whole thing of the finance department. Now what typically happens is that the financial function, it is already placed on top of the management ladder, right? In the top level, the CFO handles everything, CFO or treasurer, right? So they handle everything and they will distribute every single thing. So it is reported directly to the board of directors, right? Because CFO also sits in the group of the board of directors, right? Here is the CEO. Okay, so it is reported directly to the board of directors and the CEO. Now, while many small firms might have only single accountant handling everything, right? To handle where the sources of funds are coming from, how much do they have to distribute, how to maintain the accounts, right? And do the company needs to take that long-term decision or not, right? All the types of decisions, everything is handled by the single accountant. Meanwhile, in a large, it is the modern, medium and the large sized companies, what they do, they would categorize, they would distribute the financial departments, right? They will make multiple financial departments for each of the location or each of the levels of the management, so that it could be managed successfully, right? Here we have written is divided financial function into highly structured and specialized ecosystem. What it means that it will make a specialized financial department for each of the locations, right? If your company is operating in 3 different states, there would be 3 different financial departments in each of those states, right? Okay, so please take a screenshot over here so we can move on to the next slide to know that in detail. Over here we can see a chart of the organization of financial function. We have said that how does the hierarchy of the financial function, where the reporting goes on. So on the top of the hierarchy there are board of directors, okay, and then below them comes the managing director or the CEO, right? And then below that we have the CFO or VP of the finance, okay, vice president or the chief financial officer. Then they had 2 guys. There are the treasurer and the controller, okay. So controller and treasurer both report to the CFO. CFO will report to the CEO and CEO will report to the board of directors. Okay, now what does the treasurer handle, right? There are for certain functions of a treasurer. So what does he handle? He handles cash and liquidity management, capital structure and loans, credit and collections, forex and risk management. And what does the controller handle? On the other hand, it handles the financial accounting, cost accounting and budgeting, internal audit and control, tax compliance and reporting. Now, have you seen the difference between the functions of a treasurer and a controller? So over here we can see the treasurer, they will manages that part of the financial function which helps the company grow and gain returns, right? They will see where to invest and how much to invest so that we can get the maximum amount of return. Whereas in the controller, they will keep the track record of the financial accounts. Now we know that financial books of finance, right? The books of accounts, the financial accounts like the balance sheet, P&L, they are kind of in control measure, right? They tell us how much money have we spent, how much they have gained, right? So controller handles that side of the financial function and treasurer handles the returns, right? So controller handles the risk, treasurer handles the returns, right? They both will report to the CFO or the vice president of the company. Then the CFO will report to the CEO, that is the chief executive officer. CEO will then report to the board of directors because they are actually the owners of the company sit collectively, right? So this was the hierarchy of any organization and how the financial functions are reported, right, in the hierarchy. Now we will move on to the next slide, but before that please take a screenshot. Now we will be looking at our topic, the twin pillars, that is treasury versus control, right? We have seen that this CFO has two people under its control, like the treasurer and the controller, right? So how does the treasurer handles treasury? Controller will look into control. Now how does these two actually combine? We will look into that. So in any modern organization, finance actually splits the responsibility, right? There are two types of financial decision. One is for the returns and one is for the risk, right? One will see how much return can I get, right? If I get the maximum amount of return, it would be beneficial. But the risk, they will see that is it risky? Will it affect our business? Will it affect us for the long term? Is it profitable or not, right? How much risk is there? So there are two aspects for any financial decision. So these are those. So finance splits responsibility based on whether the task involves managing money as an asset, that is the treasury, or accounting for money and tracking performance, that is the control, right? So managing money, while managing money, we think about the investment, right? So when we manage money for the assets, right? When we invest in something, we will get a return. That's why it comes under the treasury. And the other part, the accounting for money and tracking performance, that is the control part. So we will, if we give each and every account for every single rupee or the dollar we spend and we tag its performance, right? So we can see that from where the money actually has flown inside the business, right? And we can track down if there is any kind of error, right? Or have we spent more or have we spent right? So that comes under the control part. Now we will first look into the role of treasurer. How does he handles the treasury, right? The inflow and the outflow of the management of money. Now let's look into that. So the treasurer is the primary responsible for procurement and safeguarding of funds. Now what does it mean? That he will ensure that what are the sources of the funds. Will the funds be raised by equity or will it be raised by issuing debentures or bonds or taking loans, right? So they will be responsible for the procurement, that is whether to raise, that is the financing decision, and safeguarding of funds, right, is the investment decision, right? The investing decision, what does it say? That how much, where should we invest our money so that we get the higher return. If we invest in something, right, so we will get a higher return and our money would be safe, right? So they handle the investing decision and the financing decision. Now their outlook is external, that is dealing constantly with banks, investors and financial market. Why don't they need to deal with the banks and investors? For the procurement of funds, and the financial markets for the investment, right? For the investing of the funds, right? Safeguarding their funds. Now please take a screenshot so we can move on to our next slide. On our next slide, we are now viewing the functions of a controller. So we will looking at the key responsibilities of the treasurer, right? What are the key responsibilities? Okay, so the first responsibility is the cash management. He will monitor the daily cash inflow and outflow to ensure that company would never run out of liquidity. If you are investing all the funds into an asset, into the fixed assets, you will not have any liquid cash or any quick cash to pay for the current bills like the trade payables or the salary or the electricity bill, right, or traders bill, right? So trade bill, you will not have any cash. So the treasurer has to take into the account how much money is inflow and how much money goes out of the business, so that he can maintain a liquid cash at the business, and so the company can function smoothly. Second is the financing and capital structuring. Now what does it include, the financing and the capital structuring? It negotiates loan, issuing shares, bonds, and maintaining relationship with commercial banks. Now whenever we talk about financing, that means that procurement of funds, right? From what source we will be getting the funds, right? So whenever we see that, so capital structure we have talked about in every single point, that what is capital structure, the mix of the equity fund, the equity capital and the debt capital, and what ratio does the company keeps in it, that's the capital structure. Financing is what from which source will you be procuring the funds. Now for that you will have to negotiate with the investors. You will have to pitch your ideas to the investor so that they can invest in your company. You will have to pitch your ideas to the bank manager so that they can give you the loan, right? So that's all the negotiation is done by the treasurer. Okay. The third point, the third responsibility is the credit management. Now what does credit management actually mean? We have learned that in financial functions they set some policies, right? Credit policies, so that the business stays in the safe area, right? So these policies for the consumers, right? These policies are found by the treasurer, and they manage the amounts of account receivable. Just like we have some amount to pay, right? The trade payables, bills payable. We also have some amount to receive, that bills receivables, right? They are the amount that has not come yet. Someone has taken goods on credit and we are yet to get the payment, so they have to manage those accounts as well. So they will decide the credit policy, whether the retailer has to pay us in the 30 days period, 60 days period or 90 days period, and whatever the bills receivables are there, so they will manage that. That's the credit management. The last responsibility of the treasurer is investment and forex management. Now what does the investment and forex management actually mean? It means that the treasurer will look into the account and will see that where the investment is done. The forex, that's the short form for foreign exchange. Okay, so the investing in surplus corporate funds safely, that is investing in the fixed assets, and hedging in the foreign exchange fluctuation. Now hedging is a process done by many investors in which they will buy and sell because of the fluctuation. There is a fluctuation in the market, so they buy and sell at the top and the bottom of the prices. So that's the hedging. So because of that they can gain returns, right? So that's the one more responsibility of the treasurer. So these were the 4 responsibilities of a treasurer. Okay, so please take a screenshot so we can move on to a next point. On the next slide we have the point of the controller, right? The role of the control, that is accounting and compliance. Now who is actually the controller? The controller or the financial controller is the chief accounting officer. Their outlook is internal, focusing on financial reporting, compliance and internal tracking. Now we knew that treasurer will focus on external, right? So where to raise the funds, how to utilize those funds, where to invest, right? So it was all external. They have to communicate with the outside of the company, right? With the external participants of the company. Now here the controller has to look inside the company, where the money that the company has in store is spent, how is it spent, and are we getting enough returns, right? Is there any overspending or underspending? Are we not actually achieving the target profit or not, right? So that's all the role of the controller. Now what are the key responsibilities? The first responsibility is financial accounting. Now what it means by financial accounting? They will prepare the financial accounts like the trading and P&L account, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, etc. Right? For the shareholders and the regulators, they will prepare these financial statements so that the shareholders, that the owners of the company, can see and they can get assured that their money is in safe hands. Their money is been utilizing very efficiently. So please take a screenshot so we can view the other responsibilities of the controller. Now the second responsibility of the controller is cost accounting. Now tracking the what does it mean by cost accounting? We have learned that cost accounting is the accounting for the cost, right? How much money have we spent and where. So it tracks the manufacturing and operational costs to help the department optimize efficiently. If we know how much are we spending and if there any chance that we can reduce these expenses, they will apply those ideas, right? So that's how the controller will help over here. They will control the expenses by cost accounting. The third responsibility of the controller is budgeting and forecasting. Now what does it mean? They will prepare the budgets and they will see, they will first take an idea, right? So this year we are spending this much on the fixed assets, they are spending this much on salary, on this much on electricity and telephonic bill. So for the next year we are thinking that this is the expenses that will come along. This is the target profit that we have to achieve. So for that we have to prepare a budget. So that's the responsibility of the controller. They will forecast, they will see into the future how much money they actually have to spend and prepare the budget according to it. Next, the fourth responsibility is the tax administration. Now what does the tax administration means? We know that in business, the business has to pay taxes, right? So the taxes are actually charged against profit. They will reduce your profit. So they have to pay the taxes on time or there would be a penalty for it, as well as they will have to find that how can they try and reduce the taxes, right? So there are some special economic zones, right, SEZs, so where they can open and plant there so that the taxes could be reduced. Can they do any CSR activity because of which the taxes can be reduced, etc., right? So that's to manage the corporate tax planning and insurance compliance with direct and indirect tax laws. They will comply with the direct and indirect tax laws, that they are followed properly, as well as they can manage it, right? Okay. Next, the fifth responsibility of the controller is the internal audit. Now, ensuring that the internal checks and balances are operating properly, so that they can fund or prevent fraud or errors. Okay. So what is auditing? Auditing is actually the process in which they check the every single account with the every single receipt, right? Every single entry. They will have to check that whether there is a physical proof like an invoice or any bills or etc., cash receipts, right? So is there any is there proof for every single entry in the account, right? So that's auditing. So what is internal audit? They will audit it themselves, right? They will check and ensure that every single entry actually has a receipt or invoice to back it up, so that it could prevent fraud or errors in the financial account. So these were the responsibilities of a controller. Please take a screenshot of it. Moving on to the next point, we are viewing the centralization and versus decentralization of finance. Now what exactly do we mean by centralization and decentralization of finance? At the start of this video, I explained that what is the organization of finance, whether the company deciding that the finance should be concentrated at the one point, whether one person or one single department should handle the finance for the entire company, or should it be located at every single location, right? A finance department at every single location. So what are the advantages of both the parts? Let us see. So when an organization finance department across multiple location or multi-product companies, management must choose an operational policy, right? What makes their operation smoother? What makes their operation easier? What makes it easier for them to actually track down every single expenses without much error or fraud? So let us start with the centralization of finance. Now, centralized finance functions. Now, all major financial decision, accounting and cash processing happens at the corporate headquarters. Means there is a single location where the company headquarters would be located. There would be a separate finance department, and they will take every single decision related to all the company, right? The whole company. Nonetheless, whether the company is operating across the whole country or across the world, there will be a single finance department concentrated at the headquarters of the company. Now, what are its advantages? It ensures tight control, uniform policies, economies of scale and better cash utilization. It will ensure that there is a proper control maintained over the whole operations of the company, and then there would be proper utilization of funds. If there is a single department where there is a concentration of the power, it will ensure that every single thing happens in order, right? That will be ensured. Please take a screenshot so we can view the differing points. How is decentralization beneficial for us? So the next point is the decentralized finance function. Now, each factory, each branch, each department in the company or in the firm has its own dedicated finance team reporting to the local manager. If your company has been operating across all the 28 states of India, they will have a finance department at each of its location, so that they can take the decision for the finance for their particular location and then report it to the local manager. It will help ensure various things. Let's look at those advantages. Now, what are the advantages? The faster local decision making and deeper understanding of specific divisional needs. Now, before that, we have seen that in centralization, the finance headquarters were located in the headquarters, right? Now, here the finance department is located for each of the location for their own finances, right? So, whenever there is some major decisions to take, they do not have to consult with the upper management. They can take their own decision because they have their own financial team. But if it was case, if the centralized financial function, they will have every time they need to take a major decision, they will have to consult with the upper management, and upper management may not have any idea, or they will think that it might not be useful because they do not work on the ground level. People at the ground level understand it better, so that's why it is more beneficial. Now, what exactly our modern world or our today's world is using this? They do not rely solely on the centralized financial functions or decentralized financial functions. They take a mixed approach, right? So, many firms or many large firms use the hybrid approach. What is the hybrid? They will use both centralized and decentralized. Decentralized for the local decisions, right? It is nothing major for the local restaurant. For example, you have a restaurant chain. Now, every single restaurant will have their own financial team that will check whether the restaurant needs to have any more tables or etc. needs to expand or anything. Their decision will not affect the other restaurants. But if there is a major change, like the change of the logo or something else, that would be taken at the headquarters, right? So that's the major, the change in the price of the dishes, right? So that would be taken at the headquarters. Now, in the routine accounting, tax compliance and treasury are centralized at shared service centers. The routine accounting, that the fixed salary of all the employees across the different locations of the restaurant would be fixed. The tax compliance, taxes would be levied all together, right? They will be combining the accounts of all the restaurant and the taxes would be levied all together. And the treasury are all centralized at the headquarters, the shared service center, to save cost, while strategic finance managers are embedded inside individual business units to assist with local decision making. Now, what does it mean? If, for example, there in this location there is another restaurant coming up, so now this restaurant will have to take its own decision so that they can let's say put on few more banners, or they can maintain new trends with the consultation of their own financial manager. This has nothing to do with the main or the top management of that restaurant chain, right? So this is how the modern companies Modern companies adopt the hybrid mixture of these centralized and decentralized financial functions. Please take a screenshot of this point so we can move on to the next slide. So with this, our topic of the organization of finance has been completed. Before we end the video, I would like to tell you that if you want to learn the exact same topic in Hindi, don't forget to check out my channel playlist. You will find the same exact topic in Hindi explained by me. Now with this, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please click on like, subscribe my channel and comment under it how do you liked it. And please share it with your friends. Thank you.